So Liverpool back in action today, and I have to say, although I wasn't able to get there today to the Preston friendly, I'm really glad that this game went ahead in the end. Of course, it was in doubt due to the tragic passing of Diogo Jota, but the players and staff got together and ultimately decided to go ahead with the friendly, and I really do think that was the right choice, really, because that first game without Diogo there was always going to come, wasn't it, really? And I think you almost need to kind of rip the plaster off, and it wasn't quite like that in the end. I don't think this was a painful experience for the players, or I hope not, because I just think what we saw at Deepdale today really was absolutely beautiful scenes, really, and the fans and the players and the staff mourning together and grieving and supporting each other. So as I say, I'm really glad that the game went ahead in the end, and I think it's been a positive step forward for the players and staff as they deal with what they're going through at the moment without Diogo there. And before I get into the match as well, I do also want to pay tribute to Preston North End. I mean, handed a bit of a difficult situation with this game, weren't they, in the end, because you didn't know that we were going to come up against opposition who were grieving the loss of a teammate, and yet I think everything they did today, they handled it with complete class. You look at the special programme that they brought out that was given to every fan who attended. The special version of You'll Never Walk Alone was incredibly moving, and obviously the silence was impeccably observed. And then joining in with the Diogo Jota song on the 20th minute as well. I just thought pure class from everybody associated with Preston. I'm sure it'll be deeply appreciated by everyone at Liverpool and will kind of live long in the memory, really. They just handled the entire day with real class, as I say, and just want to pay tribute to them in the way that they've handled it. Just think they played a fantastic part in today's occasion and marked it really, really respectfully. So I think hopefully, a day like this and the way that's been done and the way that Liverpool have handled everything since Diogo passed away, I'm hoping that is making things slightly easier for the players, without their teammate there. And I think, as I say, glad that first game is done, the plaster's ripped off now, and it's a step forward for these players and the staff as they do grieve Diogo. And of course, I'm here to talk about the game as well, and I think that's something, this is a positive. It's something we can focus on and latch on to, and I will say that I think it's a good result for Liverpool in the end. I mean, you can tell yourself, and it is true sometimes, isn't it, that results don't matter in pre-season, but it also, conversely to that winning is a habit, and it's important to get into that. And I look back to last season and the fact that Liverpool had a lot of positive results in pre-season. I think they were really helpful when you're bedding in with a new manager, and I think it was helpful to Liverpool starting the season as strongly as they did. They had that confidence, they'd got into that winning habit already, and of course, when they started the season, well, that was effectively what won them the league. They already had it wrapped up incredibly early because of their strong start when others maybe struggled a bit. So I do think it is important to win, and I think it's important to win and play well as well at times in these pre-season friendlies. And I think we saw that today at Preston. I mean, you look at the numbers from the game: 15 shots for Liverpool, 9 for Preston, 6 shots on target for Liverpool, 2 for Preston, 65% of the ball for Liverpool to 35% possession for Preston as well. So the numbers look pretty decent. You have to say as well, with Preston, they'd already contested 2 friendlies prior to this, so a little bit further along in their preparations. So, to do that to a championship side on your first friendly, I think is quite impressive, particularly with everything that the players are going through as well. I thought it was a decent performance from Liverpool and a decent result, as I said, albeit you can't read too much into this first friendly of pre-season, but I thought, they got the result and they got the performance that the manager will probably be pretty pleased with overall, and a good start to the pre-season campaign. Hopefully a few more wins to come. And of course, I want to talk about the individual performances as I usually do as well, and I think there's only really one place to start in terms of the player I want to highlight, and that is Rio Ngumoha. Now, just quickly on that, I toyed with different pronunciations of that last name, and I've done a lot of research on this. I've seen somebody pronounce it Ngumoha or Ngma when he was at Chelsea. I think their commentator used that, but I think everybody now seems to have settled on Ngumoha, so I'm going to go with that going forward. But I think, although that last name might be difficult to pronounce, I think there's one thing that you can say very, very easily when it comes to Rio Ngumoha, and that is that he is a very, very good footballer, isn't he? I think he proved it again today. I mean, you're a little bit wary about hyping up a 16-year-old. Sometimes that can create expectations that can crush a young player, but I I think, you look at the fact that Liverpool gave him his first team debut last season. They're not too worried, it seems, about managing expectations around him. So in that regard, I guess you can talk about him and can be open about the fact that he is brilliant. And I think ultimately, actually, Liverpool maybe acknowledge that they wouldn't be able to manage the hype anyway, because he is just so good when he takes to the pitch and looks so impressive. I thought he was very, very good today. I mean, his dribbles, he completes 2 out of 2 dribbles, but it actually felt like he did more in terms of dribbling. Obviously, even in just 45 minutes, he seems to be constantly running at his man. And I think, you do see that in young players, that they're fearless, they're thrown in, given those opportunities. And and I thought he was impressive in that regard. But what you want to see as well, and what you usually see as they get a little bit older, is end product. That's the bit where you see the maturity, the calmness in the box. And yet we saw that from Rio Ngumoha today, which I think is the most impressive aspect of his performance, really. Obviously so crucial to that first goal that Conor Bradley scores. The great feet in the box, finds his man and pops the pass away, and then eventually the ball ends up at Conor Bradley to finish it off. But as I say, that'd be really positive for Ngumoha and be the thing that will most please Slot in his performance, that he did provide that end product there. Was really, really impressive. And I think, really, really good start to his pre-season. I mentioned him as one to watch in my last video. I think I got a couple of decent predictions in there as well, if you want to go back and maybe watch that if you missed it. But I think, this is a really good start, as I say, for him, and he's going to want to build on that now. The expectation is that he will be part of the tour, and he's just got to keep taking these opportunities, proving that he deserves to be in and around the first team this season, because obviously just a 1 appearance last season, but he's been around first team training for a while, so big chances for him to play in the domestic cups and maybe even get a Premier League debut at some point this season. I think the way to go about that is by playing as well as he did in this pre-season game. I'm very, very excited to see what he can do in the friendlies to come as well. And in terms of other individual performances as well, I want to highlight the fullbacks, and I just mean that as a collective, really. Of course, you got 2 debuts at fullback, didn't you, in the second half, with Jeremy Frimpong and Milos Kerkez coming on, and I thought both did pretty well. I liked a lot of what I saw there. Again, you don't want to get too hyped on pre-season, but I think you can take the positives that you see, and I'm sure the manager absolutely will. I mean, you look at Kerkez there, completes 100% of his passes, actually. 44 passes and didn't misplace a single one. That is incredibly impressive. 1 2 out of 3 ground duels as well, and I think you saw his combativeness in the moment where he loses the ball and gets down to try and head it on the floor. I thought it was brilliant. That kind of sums up his character. I think that Liverpool fans are going to really enjoy watching him play, and I love that the pace on the outside as well. If you've got a winger who likes to cut in, which you think of Gakpo, you think of Diaz, maybe might see Wirtz out on that side from time to time. He's perfect for that, isn't he? Always there to offer the overlap, but also he's got the pace to get back in as well and defend, and just gets up and down all day long, really. So I thought a very decent debut from him, and I enjoyed Frimpong as well. Did similar things down that right hand side on the overlap, won 3 out of his 4 duels, and there's a little bit of a debate, I suppose, about his defensive ability and whether he's an out and out fullback because he played so often at wing back. But I thought he did really well in that regard. There was one moment where he gets back in to nick the ball when Preston looked like they were about to break. That was impressive. So a good start from him, I thought, and looking forward to seeing more from him. But I want to say, talking about the new signings here, I thought Conor Bradley was very good as well. I thought, wins 2 out of 3 ground duels. He gets his goal with a very good finish, gets into advanced positions, and that right back slot is up for grabs, isn't it? Since with Trent Alexander-Arnold going to Real Madrid, so that's going to be some battle between Frimpong and Bradley to secure that. So I'm very much looking forward to see how that goes, because they both played well here for me. I also thought Tsimikas did a decent job at left back. You had Robertson filling in at centre half as well. So Liverpool pretty well stocked in the fullbacks areas for me at the moment. Very interested to see which one of those 2 left backs eventually departs, because that would be the expectation. But at the moment, and even if one of those leaves, I think Liverpool are looking pretty sharp at fullback at the moment. So that was very, very good to see. And I want to mention the goalkeepers as well, a couple of debuts there. Mamardashvili didn't have an awful lot to do, did he really, in that first half? Preston not that threatening, but he looks massive, so that's always helpful for a goalkeeper, and obviously makes his debut, so that's important for him on a personal level. I thought Freddie Woodman was quite impressive in the second half. Preston started to put a bit more pressure on, makes a couple of great saves. One really memorable pass as well, he clips out to the fullback. So he looks like he can do a bit with his feet. And I mean, Preston fans have seen him up close over the last 3 seasons. They know how good he is, and he's not a kind of a no mark of a goalkeeper. He's not kind of at the end of his career. He was playing at a very high level as first choice up until last season. So he's going to add real strength and depth in that position. And it was something you kind of worried about. With there being so much change in the goalkeeping department, you lose Quiveen Kelleher. Obviously, Jarosz has gone out on loan, and that's your second and third choice. But it looks like Liverpool's second and third choice is still very, very good despite the changes there. So I think that's something that supporters will be pleased about as well. And just one more player I want to mention as well as we go through individuals. I thought Trey Nyoni was very, very good as well. Again, he completes 100% of his passes, 29 out of 29. He just looks so composed on the ball, doesn't he? And he gets about a bit as well and can put his foot in, wins duels. So very, very, he's another one I picked out as one to watch, and very, very excited to see his development over the coming months, because I think there's a chance for some games for him this season. So looking forward to that, and a good start to his pre-season should be enough to get him on the tour as well. So I'm sure we'll see more of him in the friendlies to come. So I guess in summary, really, I guess a lot to like from this game for the manager, for the fans. I thought Liverpool, they looked pretty good for the first friendly, and there's obviously a lot more to come as well. Looking forward to seeing what happens on tour. We'll learn a lot more about the new signings, won't we? We'll see more of them. We'll see more of the young players as well, and we'll see Liverpool just start to get sharper and sharper as they edge closer to the start of the Premier League season as well. So I think it's something for supporters to look forward to, particularly as it's been, the tragedy that happened prior to this kind of is going to define the summer. But I do think there are aspects of the football that we should cling on to and really appreciate in these moments, but also appreciate those beautiful tributes that have been paid today, but also will be in the games to come, that's for sure. So a lot to like about this pre-season, on this start to pre-season, and more to come from Liverpool, I'm absolutely sure. So going to wrap it up there. Do let me know in the comments section who impressed you, what did you like about the friendly today, and what did you think about the beautiful tributes as well. Do let me know your thoughts, and if you can like and subscribe, that's massively appreciated. And I also want to ask as well, if you've not checked out my Substack, the link is below, davidlynchlfc.co.uk. I put all sorts on there, little insights, snippets. There's a piece on there about Liverpool's defender search that went up this week as well. So, it's always helpful when you watch my videos and you comment and you share them. I massively appreciate that. But the Substack as well is a bit of my bread and butter. So if you can go and support that, I would massively appreciate it. As I say, the link is just below in the description as well. So please do check that out if you can. As I say, like and subscribe to this video. Really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys very, very soon.